To all the ladies in this place with style and grace, allow me to
It's
lay.
that day. It's that day. Come on now.
Greatest rapper of all time died on March 9th.
Come on. If you know, you know. How you doing, my brother?
What's going on, man? How you doing?
Not much, man. Trying to get it
Welcome, welcome,
together.
welcome, 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 welcome to the All Done Podcast. I'm
Hmm.
Shakes. Y'all know my boy Tracy. Tracy, what's good, my brother?
Nah, man. New space. Trying to get figured this thing out. You know, new.
Acclimated.
So yeah, trying to get acclimated. That's the correct word. I'm trying to get
I had to make a
acclimated.
last minute move myself.
It don't look no different though for you.
It don't, cause I'm good at what I do.
I miss I do miss my Nipsey and my Diana Ross. I had a
It'll be
whole
there in no
aesthetic.
time, my brother. It'll be up
Yeah,
there in no
I
time, my
had a
brother.
whole aesthetic going, but it's all love. What
Yes,
we on
sir.
tonight?
We're gonna talk about. We wanted the question today: does representation matter?
Yeah, because
Um,
that's big in the world right now, especially for our
Absolutely.
folks.
I think in mainstream media and social media and in politics, does representation matter? So, how you want to jump this one off?
I mean, we can start with the most recent. I mean, I don't know if I would say recent, but recent in that scenario of presidency. Let's take it back to the beginning. A lot of people, and let's jump off with the controversy. A lot of people, when Uncle Joe, as y'all affectionately call him for some
Uncle
reason,
Joe.
was elected, he chose a quote unquote black woman to be his running mate. And everybody and their mama said that that was representation. She's speaking for the culture. Wow, at the inauguration, look at her slaying in her pantsuit or Converses or whatever it was. I try not to get into the semantics, but people were really overwhelmed by, oh, that's a black woman as the vice president, first one.
Hmm.
I won't answer the question, but I will pose it to you. Do you feel like that was a big deal? Was representation in that capacity extremely important to have Kamala Harris in that position?
Absolutely. Because representation matters, and just from the optics of it to begin with, like I think it was Steve Harvey who said it in one of his stand-ups where he said he was flying and somebody asked, "Are you voting for Obama?" And he was like, "Yeah." And there's like, "Well, let me ask you, are you voting for him just because he's black?" And he was like, "Pretty much." You
Mm,
know, I feel like we had to climb that mountain of getting the like certain people in certain positions
okay.
just for the optics of it to begin with. Now we can start to focus more on let's do it for the right reason. Let's make it happen.
I disagree with you because
Of
I
course
think
you do.
when I voted for Obama, it wasn't for optics. I thought because we were really trying to get with the program of what needed to be done for the community. Were
Oh,
people really, that's an interesting perspective. Were people, and I believe you, but go ahead and reiterate. You believe that people did vote for that man for optics, and I'm sort of inclined to agree.
yeah, absolutely. Like I said, I agree with what Steve Harvey said. Like right now, for that reason, just because he is black, just because it's somebody that looked like me, may not
Okay,
have been through what I've been through, may not have lived the
okay,
life
yeah,
I
yeah,
lived,
yeah,
but he
yeah.
looked like me.
Okay, so fine. We made that mistake, and I'm glad you brought up Obama. That was a trap. I set you up, and you fell for it. We fell for that with Obama, but then you come back and tell me 8 years later that the Kamala Harris thing is we're gonna do the same thing again. And I
I
don't know.
mean,
Maybe you don't agree. Maybe you agree that it worked for us the first time. I'm under the mindset that it didn't work out too well for us the first time.
it didn't work out
First 8 years, I should say, 8 years.
with President Obama or
No, we
former
had 8 years.
president.
No, we had 8 years, and I mean, I will say it worked out. And I mean, people are always going to push to, well, it was this little employment thing here, and we got a job or two here. But I would beg of anyone to say, fine, 8 years or when Obama first got in office, do you think black people are any better off today?
Hmm, I don't. I don't think so. But once again, I don't blame that on the presidency, no matter who was
How?
president.
How, Sway? How? How, Sway? How? You don't got the answer, Sway. How?
Because in certain areas and neighborhoods, that's more local government. That's why a lot of people don't realize how important local elections are in deeper. That's my opinion,
Okay,
but
that's you right. It's yours, and you hold it alone in this podcast because I don't. You're not going
but
to tell me at the highest office in the land, it's just all these local and it's Congress and the Senate. It's like a game that they play with us.
mhm.
It's the Senate and it's your local and it's your alderman and your alderman didn't vote and he should have nominated this person. And maybe if you went to Oak Park, for those of you who are from where we're from, if
I
you went
forgot
to
about
Oak Park and put your ballot in, then it wouldn't have been
that.
like it was. My grandfather and grandmother went through that game. I remember it vividly. Like, oh
But all
man,
right, so now I'm happy you mentioned them.
yeah.
With that being said, do you think from what they've seen in their life,
hmm
that wasn't a big deal to see a black president, no matter what he did in office? The fact that he became president, you don't think that was a huge deal?
I don't.
For,
I
I'm
did.
talking
I
about
think I
for
did
them,
at first, and I
for them,
changed my mind. But go ahead.
for what they've
Say
seen
that.
and been through in life, like
Sure.
we talked about my father.
No doubt. No doubt. Yeah.
You don't think seeing like living in Jim Crow South, because your grandparents from the South, my father's
Big
from
facts.
from Mississippi.
Yeah.
So living in Jim Crow South, you don't believe that them seeing a black president was a huge deal?
My rebuttal would be no, and then my retort would be a big deal for what elevation for them. Social Security still messed up. You got the insulin medicine is through the right. All these problems. My point would be that the political structure knew what they were doing when that situation went down. They knew that we would follow that blindly because it was the hysteria of him being the first, and we absolutely did
So
twice.
so overall, to you, representation don't matter?
I'm not gonna say that. I will say, and this is I think earlier when we touched on it in 3 text messages. When you said maybe we'll see the same and this conversation won't carry the way it might maybe should, in my brain I was like, nah, because I'm totally on the other side of the fence on this
So
one.
representation don't matter.
I'm not gonna say it doesn't matter, but it doesn't matter as much as individuals saying, remember I believe her name was Amanda Gorman. It doesn't matter as much as that young sister getting on some podium and spitting some poem and the entire world going nuts about it. It doesn't matter that much because what they do, and they do this with everything. This is why I don't understand. It baffles me sometimes because people are so quick to jump on representation. At what point is representation not enough then? Because I get it. We've been starved for it. So now they use it to say, oh, this is enough. We gave you representation. But if I give you a person, skin folk, ancient kid folk, if I give you a person that looks like you, but they have no intention of raising you out of your situation, does representation matter, or am I hindering you with your so-called representation?
Okay. So on a political level, to you, representation doesn't matter.
We could
Because
start. No. I don't want to say that. I don't want to say that.
I'm asking a question. I'm
I
not
don't
putting.
want to. No, and I would disagree. No, I'm not saying that it doesn't matter because, like you said, I do think to a certain degree that seeing that beige motherfucker in the White House meant something to my grandfather, meant something to your parents. I'm not going to deny that because
Beige. You didn't call the brother beige, did you?
they came from something that was like, wow, like
Yeah.
to go from what they seen to here. My point is that self-gratification over what's best for the group? And I would say that it is in that case.
Okay. I think it affects multiple things. So one thing is morality. Like it affects the morality of people, does
I
it
knew you
not?
was gonna go. I knew you was gonna go
You
more. Go
didn't know
ahead and
I
tell
was
me.
gonna
Girl.
go there. I didn't know
I
I was
knew
gonna
you
go
was. I knew you was.
there.
I
I
knew
didn't know
you
I was gonna
was.
go there. How you know I
I
was gonna
knew you
go
was because I know you. I know you
there?
like the back of
It
my
changes.
goddamn hand.
You gotta think it changes our mindsets at a younger age. Like, see, so for certain people, it won't matter because, like you said,
Okay.
we already had a certain mindset of what we need to do to progress.
Yeah.
But now, a certain age, remember back in the day, you ask a young black kid, well, what do you want to do? Or I want to be a basketball player, a
Sure.
football player, you know.
So
a
you sling
rapper.
crack rock or you got a wicked jump shot. I was there too.
That was the vibe. But now, the answers change a little bit. And as the answers change, you slowly change the mindset. And I say this a lot. A lot of stuff we work toward isn't gonna be for me or you.
Hmm.
It's gonna be for our children coming up, and we're setting stuff in place for change to happen for them so they can take over.
So I'll ask you, system or mindset?
What when it comes to representation?
When it comes to elevation of a group, system, right? So for
Mindset.
example,
It gotta be a
there is
mindset
no,
thing.
okay, fine, that's a lie, but there's no Ukrainian individuals here in the States right now boasting. I mean, it's us, it's American people saying, hey, pray for Ukraine, yada, yada, yada. And I agree with that. But there's no Ukrainian political leader pushing that movement. And our government is going to provide those nationals and immigrants money to come here to get in this space. And they don't have no representation.
Facts, but it's crazy because it's funny you said that. Ukraine, because you kind of tried to cancel my argument about morality. In that fight, I was like USA Today. It was something. It
Yeah.
was saying the Ukrainian forces are doing a decent job in their fight, and it's raising the morale of the soldiers and of the
Okay.
people.
I can
So
see that.
it's giving them a better chance in that fight.
I can see
So
that.
morality is definitely an important aspect of everything.
How
No,
far though? Tell me how far we're gonna go with morality. Because I can't I don't know a more, you gotta read Prosperity for All because I talk about this, right? We are the most, black people, the most sound, morally compassed individuals on the planet. We always have. That's right, go get it. Because I talk about this point, about
I
our
should get
morality.
close.
About our morality and it being a gift and a curse. Because it truly is a gift. I love us that we are so, hey man, you need help. Hey, Chinese man, come in our community, sell your chicken and your, pigeon meat or whatever
See,
it
I
is
don't
that you
think that's
push
the
it.
morality thing there. I'm talking about within us. Like, we just have a bleeding heart for everyone. I
That's the
don't.
same thing. Morality. We love people. We want to see people be successful. The issue becomes not everyone wants to see us be successful. And so
That's the
then we get stuck holding the bag. And then the political structure on top of our overweighing morality, they'll say, yo, listen to Amanda. She just spit you a beautiful poem. That should hold you over for another 25 years. Oh, yo, Obama for 8 years. What do you mean? I know your community is still poor. The economics is terrible. You
But
can't get any.
that's where mindset come in, right? Cause like I said, me and you talking like, yo, nah, that's cool. That was dope to see, but that ain't enough.
No, but you're saying that those instances lend to the mindset. I'm telling you that our mindset is what it is without having an Uncle Joe or Uncle Daddy Barack or whatever y'all was calling him. It
What?
didn't come from that.
Daddy Barack number
I'm
one.
just saying, y'all wanted to call these politicians all types of names in which y'all fall in
The only
love.
one I called is Uncle Joe.
All right, no. I can't. I'm blanking on it now, but y'all had a name for him. Y'all had
I
a name
called
for that
Obama
name.
President Obama.
No, y'all had a name for him. It's gonna come to me, and I'm a
Barry.
personal. Yeah, y'all. This is exactly. That's what I'm talking about. There's a personal There was a personal relationship, and no, there is a personal relationship with this individual who you don't know. You've grown equipped and grown a lust, and I'm gonna get nasty with it. You've grown a lust for this man that is supposed to be in political office. Y'all don't understand that. Y'all don't know that man, and he didn't do nothing for you. And you know how I could tell for all the people that are gonna be, well, there's this program or that program. When you look around, and this is just me and you, two dudes. This is the brilliance of this podcast. Just me and you chopping it up. You look at black people every day. I can look at black people every day. Are we better off? 8 years. And you're sitting here telling me that he changed the mindset of some people that are going to change it?
I think it made it a little tougher for us.
Okay, that's interesting. Go ahead, explain.
Because the pushback we got from that.
I would agree. I would be inclined to agree because the suspected the SWSs took it up a notch.
Exactly. The supremacists that put them into overdrive. that's when we start seeing more of the Trayvon Martins and Tamir Rices and stuff like that. Because it had been happening, but now it's just like hell. I don't even care. Like it's whatever.
So I heard a stat. One of y'all can fact check me, but I heard there were more black people killed under the 8 years of Barack than the Jim Crow era. And if that's true,
that's a tough stat. I
mean, I don't know. I be hearing stuff.
That,
I don't know. The internet is going internet, but I heard that
the internet actually definitely got to be going internet with that, because I just can't. I can't.
But okay, well, hold up before you say you can't. In Jim Crow, Negroes are free. There's a reason to kill free Negroes because goddamn, they're free. They can do whatever. Oh my God, that's white fear. That's why this whole system, in part, why this whole system exists. In slavery, there's no reason to kill your Negroes because they need to work for you. Many times they're insured, right? Like you're not. This is what a lot of people don't understand. Negro killings weren't in slavery. Yeah, Negroes died in slavery. I'm not.
It was in Jim Crow.
It was once they got free.
Yeah,
exactly.
And I think Barack Obama being elected president brought back that same feeling. Like, all right, they starting to, something. Their morale is picking up.
So is it that? So the stat I just spit that crazy? So is the stat that I just gave you that crazy?
I just think. I
don't know. I haven't researched it.
I believe a lot of black people were killed during, Barack's 8 years. So that's not my argument. My argument more than Jim Crow South with lynchings and things like that. That's a tough one to believe. So, like I said, that's just a stat we got to check. So I'm not arguing the point of a lot of black people being killed during that time. It's just to say one was more than the other. To say Jim Crow. Barack presidency was more than Jim Crow. Either way, that's not the argument we're having. That's not the discussion we're having. But that one's just hard to fathom.
I will do the research and I'll get back to our all done listeners. But I thought, even when I read that, I'm like, damn, that sounds crazy, but damn,
it's not far off. Yeah.
Is it that crazy if that's a real thing? I don't know. But I do want to get into this point because we are talking about representation mattering tonight. And I think a lot of black people, I think that what I said earlier, your skin folk ain't always your kinfolk, and I definitely got that from Harvey.
Yeah, I like that. I like that one.
But the point being in the quote is that, like, yeah, you could have all the representation you want. And I think it's amazing how the structure uses some of this stuff against us. Because it's not like you didn't have black overseers.
Yeah.
Right? Like Uncle Tom. Like, this is not a new concept. Where it's like, I'm going to pick the most coonish, pardon my French, of you all and put them at the top and give the rest of y'all something to aspire to under me.
So do you think President Obama was coonish?
I throw him a bone. I like to swear. I throw him a bone. I think Barack did the best he could. I also think he didn't understand what he was coming into.
He had no not necessarily his fault, is what you're saying.
Let me
rephrase. Okay. I retract that question.
No. Highest office in the land, bro. Highest office in the land.
100% his fault, is what you're saying. He takes some of the blame, but he doesn't take it all.
Yeah, about 80%. He about 80% blame.
Like I tell a brother at work, I mention him a lot. Biggest Uncle Tom.
Gotta have him on here.
I need to go chop it up with him, but
we gotta have him on here for sure.
But I don't know about all that, but biggest Uncle Tom I know. But at some point, somebody else has to pick it up and keep going. So, like we talked about the generation before ours and the generation before that. Generation before his, that's was the civil rights era and everything because he's the older guy, and the movement. Well, what did the generation after that do to keep it pushing? Or were they happy with that? See, and that's the issue we have with somebody, certain representation, because we get satisfied, we get content, we get complacent with them being in a certain spot, and we're like, oh, we're good now. We don't have to do the work. And that's a big issue with representation right there that I see. Like somebody
No,
else
I
did
would
it,
agree with
so
that.
we don't have to do the work.
I would agree with that. Sometimes black people can be too playful. Everything can't be about play, 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 play. So when people have their
Macaroni
critiques
game.
about, yeah, when people have their critiques about twerking or clubbing or some of our hip hop pieces of our hip hop culture or our culture in general, everything can't just be written off to like, yo, you hating, or like, yo, you just don't know how to have fun. Like some
Mm-hmm.
of that stuff has to be taken and be like, yo, that's some real shit. Some of us have to, let's buckle down. What can we do? Let's put a CNN vibe here. Where's our Fox News? Where's our MSNBC? Where we could talk
Absolutely.
how we need to talk and spread our messages and our narratives. What you laughing at, bro?
Because I was thinking about the brother I talk about at work, the brother Lenny. We was talking about CNN one time. He says they don't tell the truth. We call it chicken noodle news. Like what? First of all, who's we?
Yeah, that's fire. I'm going with
Chicken noodle
that.
news.
Chicken noodle news.
Yeah.
Facts. CNN is now chicken noodle news. I like that, Lenny. I don't like a lot of the stuff you stand for, but that is brilliant.
But he's a Fox News type of guy. Like
Whatever. I mean, man, they could say the same thing, and I think their media and propaganda and quote unquote representation for their political views, it could matter or it can't matter because they got a structure behind it, which is something else I wanted to say about this
that's
conversation.
what I was saying. That was my point earlier. Like they have their representation, but then there's work put behind it to keep that image. Like we tend to get that representation, like I said, and just kind of like, nah, we straight. Like, nah, he got it. He there. He in office. He's straight. Oh, Jesse Jackson, he marched. We good. Al Sharpton is on the podium talking. We all right. You feel
So
me?
I have to put pressure on you because
On
we
me?
had this conversation about Hove in the
So you have to
NFL
put pressure on me.
on you.
The same pressure that burst pipes build diamonds. Let's go.
All right, so we had this conversation about Hove a year or so ago because this podcast's been on for a while. Shout out to us. And we had this conversation about Hove, and it was a lot of people that was like, yo, you just gotta wait. It's chess, bro. Hove gonna do yada yada yada. And maybe he's
last week or the week before, but continue.
maybe I might have, but it's the same energy when we start to talk about representation matters because everyone when people seen Hove sitting next to Roger Goodell, they were like, yo, we are represented. And you know what?
No, see, vice versa. A lot of people was upset about it because it was right off the heels of the whole Colin Kaepernick situation.
It
They're like,
was.
I can't believe he did a deal with the NFL and
Right.
blah blah blah.
But that's not what you thought.
No, what was my? All right, so my God, now I got to treat you a certain way. What was my thoughts on it? And I need to know what you said. I said like what I said.
All right, yeah, I'm gonna give you my interpretation of what you said.
What you hear is two different things.
All right, well, correct me if I'm wrong. Goddamn.
What I say, I'm not responsible for what you hear.
All right, so you can correct me if what I am going to say I interpreted as wrong. My interpretation of what you said during the whole Hove representing the NFL thing was give it time. That was kind of like your whole thing. He's never done us wrong in the past. His mind has always been on Black elevation. Give the man time to see what is going to take place. Am I off? You let me know.
False.
Okay. Tell me what you thought about it.
My point was, and like I said when you brought it up before, my point was we don't know. We're
It's the
jumping
same
on
thing I just said.
Because yours. Well, we don't know. He never let us down. No, that wasn't my point. He never did anything to me.
But we do know, though.
Don't know, so I don't. We knew what he was gonna do.
How don't we know what he's gonna do? Like
I don't know what his goal was with that. Remember, that deal that came out of nowhere.
So this is what I'm saying. This is the representation thing, right? They give you Hove. Here's Hove with the NFL. You are now represented. Here's Hove with the goddamn. That's the NFL. They don't even let black people say NFL. Here's Hove now, our superhero with the NFL.
So you upset with Hove over that?
I'm not upset. I mean,
I'm just
That's a great question. That's a great question. Mr. ADP, you're right. No, I'm not upset with Hove about the business deals that he does because I'm not in Hove's shoes. I'm not privy to those conversations. Did I like the NFL thing? No, didn't think it was beneficial. Unless they were welcoming you to the table on an ownership tip, because the NFL owners have a track record. And so, to me, no shot at Hove, I think it was a little naive to think that they were going to allow you in there to really change something. Because, and now what has that been, 2 years? Nothing has changed.
Is it, let me ask this. Is it
And things
impossible?
might. So if things do, I will recant.
Is it impossible to believe that he could be the one to make those changes?
It's not impossible, but it also feels as if you're just giving me more representation.
So what? So do you feel like we don't need it, like no representation? Let's just get it done.
I'm not saying no representation.
Because representation is important.
All right.
It's just a matter of
To a certain degree. To a certain degree, it's important. Because you haven't given, okay, so fine. You believe representation is important. Give me the example that it's made a real difference. Give me the example of that.
which, I mean, I don't have an example of when it makes
Because I can give you a lot where it hasn't.
I mean, because you could say none of this work compared to like where we at in this country, you know.
So that's the whole point. The whole point is elevation. I'm so
We
sick
had
of us.
representation that made a difference. I believe Malcolm X made differences. No,
That wasn't on some representation shit. He was on the outs. Henceforth, they murdered him. He wasn't on some like, yo, the dominant structure of the
Martin Luther King representation.
No, because these are individuals, right? We have to when we talk about representation, where's the representation coming from, and where are we talking about it in the vein of? We're talking about representation from the masses, right? Amanda Gorman can say her poem on stage because you know who allows her to do that. Obama, to a certain degree, could be president because there's a certain sector of people that allow that to get done. These are not, I would argue that these are not true representatives of our culture or of our people. Maybe they were at one point, or maybe they have a sore spot somewhere, but
MLK and Malcolm X, so they didn't represent our people.
They absolutely did, but they were from the grassroots.
Get into spaces that me and you can't get into.
Which is why they're not here anymore.
But that was representation that was important, no?
It was, which is why I said to a certain degree, but where do your leaders come from, right? When we start to talk about representation, who's representing you today? Give me your political leaders today.
Representation is important, but it's also important who we have representing us.
Who you have is more important than the representation in and of itself.
Yeah. I mean, that's the easy one to agree on. Then.
Yeah, no, it's not, because we often fail in that capacity. We often fail in who?
Agreed. But see, that's not what we disagree on. But how it came off when you started, like, now representation don't matter. No, it matters.
It is not. If we're gonna prioritize it, no, it doesn't matter.
We have to have somebody that can get in those spaces and have these conversations for us.
You might be right, but if every time it's an Eric Adams, the governor or whatever he is of New York, saying drill music is the problem, then that's problematic. Or if it's every time it's a Clarence Thomas who's like, oh, well, slavery has a long time ago. Or if every time it's a Candace Owens on all these platforms, or if it's an Eric Holder who said maybe the slave masters need to be paid because technically we took their property. And if you don't believe me, please Google it. If you don't believe me, please Google it.
I definitely believe. I think we spoke about that before, if I'm not mistaken. But
you understand what I'm saying? You can have people in positions of power.
Like, once again, I'm gonna go back to saying this: representation isn't the issue. The issue is the figure we put in that position.
No, it is, because many black people can't tell the difference. Right? They see black skin, they say, oh, just like all of us did, and I'm included. All of us seen Barack Obama and was like, yo, get the fuck out of here. That's my guy. That's the one. Finally, yes.
Yeah.
And I don't want to say it's a slight against him, but yo, look at black people's state across the country today. I don't know that it's better. I don't know that it's better. I don't know that Black America's better because he was there for 8 years.
But that's like, let's say you get into a certain position, political position or whatever position of power. My automatic reaction, I'm like, yo, it's Tracy. That's my guy. He's there. Let's go.
Next.
And you may not be able to get done what we need done. Do that mean?
I'm gonna tell you something. I'm gonna tell you something right now. We don't make excuses, and that's something that I don't understand. Politicians.
I'm not making an excuse. I'm just.
Yes, you are. politicians and weathermen, the only people that get to be terrible at their job and never get fired. It's really amazing to me. Like, I don't understand.
I'm not
Fired, no ridiculed, no nothing. No, you get to be a politician and a weatherman. You can be totally wrong and totally inconcise in either one of those positions, and no one's ever going to be like, "Hey, man."
Some politicians get fired, and some people make noise.
Yeah, they gotta be on crack. Marion Barry, they gotta be on crack. Andrew Gilliam, they gotta be like having gay sex. Like, it's gotta be some off the wall shit. Like, you can get them. I can't with you.
So let's get off the political side of it.
Go ahead. Representation, give it to me. Go ahead.
I think it's important in, well, let's say media, TV shows and books and things like that. You think representation is important?
Again, I feel the same way, because if you say, and your skin is black, right? Oh, I'm black, I'm with you, I'm black. But then your book comes out in this how to catch a zaddy, fuck black men, then that ain't it. There's a disconnect, right? So now we're not talking about, right? Like, so I think more than being just represented by individuals who are of your skin color or of your culture, it is more important that we start to, like you said, hey, let's examine this person's mindset. Where you from? Where you grew up? Do you understand really what it's like to not have textbooks to do work that they're assigning you in this huge school? Do you understand what it's like for, like, yo, my mom can't afford XYZ medicine? Are you with us? I can't remember the last politician that was.
I just said rolling off of politicians.
Okay, so yeah, what you said, media person, book person, right? So, okay, cool, I'll throw one out. You think Stephen A. Smith is that's our representation? That's what we got. That's us.
Well, see, that would answer the question to why our representation in media is important, because he don't represent us.
Okay, but this is what I'm saying. The individuals, that goes to my point even more, because the individuals that get those positions and are given to us as representation, oftentimes, I'm not sure. Oftentimes, I'm not sure. Okay. I'm not sure. And I feel like that's a fair critique, because I don't understand how many times I can hear that man say, stay off the weed, but never critique other athletes for a number of different issues.
Absolutely agreed. I agree with that. So with that, and like I said, that brings back to my point. Representation is important, but it's especially important who represents me and us. And so, what about in the household?
Say that. Give me the person. Give it to me then. Give me the person in the media, propaganda wing, politics. Give me the person that is a shining light for you to.
I didn't say we have any as a shining light. I said it's
oh my God, man. We don't have one. You can't name one.
Important. See, wait. You just like to argue with me. That's what happened.
Name one. No, I'm not. I just want to hold you to this. Give me one. I just want one, please, brother. You my man. I love you.
Once again, let's say we don't have any, right?
Okay, cool. Thank you. That's good. You're right. We don't have any.
So now here's the question.
Go ahead. Give me the question.
Is it a problem that we don't have any?
No.
Why?
It's not a problem that we don't have any, because it's designed that way. The ones that you see are supposed to be there.
Okay. So how do we get into these big? Okay.
We need to be politically astute enough and savvy enough to say, Stephen A. might be talking a little bit too much about the weed. Candace Owens says a lot of, like, I don't know, as a black woman, that's what we're supposed to be following. I think we need to kind of, Kamala Harris, yeah, she's the vice president, but there was some truancy things. There was some lab practices when she was a criminal. I'm not really sure if that's the hill I'm going to die on.
Okay.
Our problem is we don't hold anyone accountable. No one's accountable. Everyone's still. I wouldn't be surprised if your man Uncle Joe ran again and doubled up. That wouldn't surprise me because we are politically too many of us are politically not ready to have that conversation and say the people that they put in front of us may not be best for us.
Okay. I can vibe with that. I can definitely see where you're going with that and can agree. So what brings me to my next question: is representation important in the home
Yeah, that's good. Let's break it down
for
to
your
the
kids,
singular.
for your kids, and stuff like that? I'm gonna
I
tell you
would
where I get that question from
go
before
ahead.
you
Yeah,
answer.
no, please.
I decided the other day, like, I want different paintings and artwork up in my apartment. Just somebody come over, I got stuff
You
hanging
know
up.
I love that. You know I love that.
So me and my lady having a conversation about it. And I
Hmm.
sent her a few different pieces, king, queen, one of them I will say this, one of them was a bit,
It was
you
naked.
know,
It was
now
naked.
it wasn't naked. It was the quote on the bottom was three pictures. I want to say it was Martin, Malcolm, and Rosa Parks. And when you
Hmm.
hang them up together, of course, the bottom said freedom ain't free. And
What's
that
the
might have
problem with that? She was
that
scared.
might
She was
that might
scared.
be a little intense, and I still might order that and just
Don't
when I
tell
get in
us
there.
love. It's love, sis. It's love. But we tell the
But
truth around here.
as I was picking out different artwork and paintings and different stuff, and she said, "Well, I don't want my home to scream I'm black and I'm proud."
All right,
She's like,
sis.
"Yes,
Now,
I'm."
come on. Now, I'm trying to learn to love you. Now, come on, sis. I'm trying to learn to love you. Now.
So she was
It's
like,
love.
"No,
It's
of
love.
course I love being black and I love all that, but I don't want the artwork to scream that."
I respect. Some people are like that. Some black folks are like that. I understand.
So, do you think that representation is important in the home? Because the way I look
I.
at it is, I want my kids to see this stuff and like, yes, black is beautiful.
That's important.
Yes, yes, I love the skin I'm in.
If you're going to talk about representation at the singular level of home, that's the best you're going to get from me. That's the closest you're going to get from me saying, yo, their representation matters. You can
Hmm.
teach your family, you see certain photos every day. That's important.
Okay.
More so than political figures, more so than propaganda, more so than a lot of things. You start to see certain photos and images and learn who some of these icons were. Hey man, that's a big deal, and I'll give you that. That's the ultimate bone I'll throw you. To the individuals of a darker hue who feel like, I don't want to project that in my home. My first question would be why.
Hmm.
What are you afraid of? And if you're going to say the SWS, then okay, I'll understand, that fear because, that is a long lineage of terror and brutality that
Okay.
I think people would be afraid, people are afraid of. And so I understand that. But my rebuttal to that would be, yo, they're going to do what they're going to do anyway.
Hmm.
Be proud of what you are. Be proud of what you come from because they're going to be them regardless. They've proven that to you.
I think too many of us are so quick to want to just blend in.
Facts, because you don't want no waves, and I understand that, especially from a female or child's perspective. I understand that. Like, yo, I don't want to be walking I don't want to wear dashiki or or African garb or say who I am because goddamn, who knows who I'm gonna run into. You were telling me about an incident not too long ago where maybe Shorty got ran off the road, kind of on some SWSs, kind of trying to pull up on her in a
Uh,
negative light.
I'm trying to think. I think that happened to someone. Yeah. Yeah. Yep. 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 I remember the incident. Yeah. Yeah.
And so those incidences, I could see how a person going through something like that would be like, yo, I'm not trying to, yo, no, I don't want that smoke. But the reality is, whether you want to embrace it or not, Malcolm told you, the price of freedom
Ain't free.
is in you,
But
boy.
no. And it's crazy to me. Like I remember at a point in my life, I was like I said, I've always been loved who I was, but I was like I said, kind of ready to blend in, and and I think that's something.
Me too, bro.
Yeah, I think we all go through that identity crisis. I don't even think it's an identity crisis. I think it's just like I said. not want to cause too many waves. I didn't
No,
want to
I
wear
was in
my
crisis. I'm gonna go ahead and put myself in the mix right now. I was in crisis. There were
I didn't
times
want
where
to
I
wear
was
my, you
chasing
know, my unk on my neck, and
facts.
so. But now I'm at a point in my life where, yo, this is who I am. This is my culture. This is where I'm from. This is in like, yo, either you're gonna like it or not. Yes, because everybody else can say they're proud to be whatever, whoever, and from whatever. But when I say it now, I get hit with the CRT and stuff like that. So
CRT.
and it's that's something that's wild to me now. Like so, like I told you, I was having a conversation with one of the kids the other day, and he was like, "Well, we don't talk about that stuff. That stuff don't matter." Like, and it blew my mind and made me feel away. And you're just like, bro, like you don't understand how much that stuff matters.
I could relate with being scared with it though.
Yeah.
Like I said, and I'm not talking about as a kid. I'm talking about in my early 20s. There was moments where I was like, I'm chasing a degree. I'm trying to get connections with this person, connections with that person, and I really did wonder, like, damn, do I want to rock the boat and post the Malcolm X quote? I remember vividly thinking about posting W.E.B. Du Bois and being like, is this too black? Are
Yeah.
people gonna look at me a certain way because I posted X, Y, or Z about an iconic black figure? And I would pause often in my early 20s because I always felt connected to a culture, connected to these ancestors, but there was something about what was given to me that was like, maybe that's not the right way to do it because you might make other people feel bad.
So at what point in your life did that change for you?
It changed once I realized the system I was living in for real. It changed once I realized that no matter how much I capitulated or how much I tried to compromise and just keep my head down or stay out the way, it didn't matter. They was
Right.
killing they was killing kids. Probably was Tamir Rice. Once they killed that little boy in what was that, 2012? Once they
Yeah.
killed that little boy, I was like, okay, it don't matter what I do. I could
So
post WB Du Bois. I could not post them. It don't matter.
social media was one of my moments where it, like I would say, I'm not going to post certain things because, I got this person following me, that person following me. I don't want them to say anything or feel away.
Sure.
But this person and that person that I was talking about was posting stuff about, like I said, Barack Obama or whoever they be, and giving it up crazy.
Blue Lives Matter, baby.
And that's when I had the realization, like, why am I careful not to offend someone who don't give a damn if they offend me?
Yeah, I don't want to say that because I'm not on some radical, right? Like we got
It's not
people
even
like
radical.
Jobs, right? I'm not saying you or me. I'm just saying I understand people saying, yo, if I have my leadership or administration following me or coworkers and I don't want to put myself in a certain space, I'm not going to say I don't understand people not posting certain sensitive topics because the reality is we aren't as post-racial as the world would like to let you believe.
Facts.
That's the problem because if we were, it wouldn't be a problem with you posting something about ancestors that gave their lives to hope someday that you would have a better something. But we are. There are administrators and leaders and bosses out there that you post a Malcolm X quote, I gotta pull you in the office. What's that all about? What's going on with that? So I'm not oblivious to people's plight of like, hey man, I'm gonna be cool. Let me just stand under the radar and play the game the way I need to play it. I also would ask those people to what end?
I I'm at the point where as long as I'm not posting something advocating violence and war, I'm good.
I'm gonna tell you I have a problem with that though. Because if you
Are,
look at
are,
the
are you are
world,
you are you are you coming to the R word?
I'm not advocating anything. That's what I gotta say.
I didn't tell you advocating.
I'm not
I saw you.
advocating.
Are you
I'm
lean?
not. I'm
Are you
not. I'm not.
dropping? Are you sprinkling a little of the R word around here? Is that what's
I'm
about to
not.
happen?
I'm not sprinkling anything. I'm telling you that to delve into history is to acknowledge historic events.
That's all. That's all I'll be saying.
That's it. That's all I'm saying. To acknowledge history is to acknowledge historical events.
There you go. That's what it is right there. And And I'm going to be inclined to say, inclined to agree, and you're 100% right.
Okay.
So if Emmett Till is one of our historical events,
I didn't do that. That's I think sometimes I just want to say to the world, that wasn't done by me, the person who posted. If I
right?
post that energy, or if I post that story, or if I post clips or receipts or articles, I didn't do that. You're mad at me for posting it? Your problem may be in another area, but I think that's a podcast for a different time. Wrap me up, man, about representation, since you're so gung ho about it.
See, there you go. See, you be trying to you be throwing me the wrap up, and then you gonna throw something where I gotta kind of like now I'm on the rope trying to defend myself, and I don't like that. You
I'm
now
gonna
it's
show
representing
love.
me
You my
bad.
man,
Like
brother.
now
I'm
you
just
trying to
saying you my
represent
man, brother. I love
right.
you. I'm
All
not. I
love,
love you. I love
but
you.
now representation. I think, especially from this conversation, representation is definitely important. It's
Sure.
something that's needed. Sometimes we need someone someone to get in that space, but
Someone.
who does it is important as well.
Okay.
Um, some people that speak for me definitely shouldn't speak for me.
Mm,
Some people that should speak for me don't.
mm,
So representation is important, but more so, who's representing me is important.
absolutely.
And I'm leaving this conversation with skin folk ain't always kin folk. I like that one. That's gonna be my next Facebook quote.
That's real, baby. That's real. I'm gonna end this in saying, because I do have a solution, right? This is not just all chatter. Some of it is chatter because it's my brother and I love chopping it up with him. But
Oh yeah.
this solution that I have is not chatter. What if I told you, individuals in the world and society, all my ADP listeners, what if I told you that the individuals that will represent you from a societal standpoint, whether that be political, whether that be media, will only make the median income of the individuals from that
Ooh.
specific area? So what if I told you Tucker Carlson couldn't get on Fox News and spew a bunch of bullshit from wherever he lives if he didn't take the median pay of the community that he's in? And maybe some of them are still going to be well off because let's just be honest. If you live in LA, the median pay in LA is a little bit different. But that would mean some of your politicians who might be caked up six figures, if your county is struggling and their median income is 35, 40,000, that's what you'll make. I
Do
feel like
you
that would give individuals a real incentive to, enough with the politics. Let's get with the fixing the community that you're residing over.
do you think? And I know we're trying to wrap this up,
All right, speak your mind, brother.
but do you think to represent someone, let's say the mayor of Jackson,
Sure.
do you think whoever's in that office should have to live like in the middle of it? Like I said, Jackson, it has some nice areas, of course. Not all Jackson's bad, but it got some pretty rough areas. Do you think they should be able to stay, two, three towns over and represent the town that they or the city they're elected to represent?
Well, if I'm looking at all, I just click Google's. Google's your friend. Type it in. Google's your friend, love.
Hmm.
Right, so we start to look at this real quick, and this is not deep research, but international mayor of Jackson, Mississippi, 97,000 for the regional. Executive mayor, 81,000. My point is, your politicians are six-figure earners.
Here
Your
in Jackson.
your politicians are damn near six-figure earners.
Speaking of our mayor, his father was a real one.
That's what's
So
up. That sounds good. What is
if
his
you
name?
ever get Chokwe Lumumba, his father,
Chokwe Lumumba.
yeah, his and his father shared the same name. So his dad was a real one, a civil rights activist as well.
Shit all sounds good until you peep the paycheck. That shit always sounds good until
Oh
you
no, no,
like, oh,
no, no.
wait a
I'm
minute.
not talking. Listen, I'm not talking about the actual sitting mayor. I'm just talking about his dad, who was the mayor at one point. He didn't stay in long because he passed, but his
I
dad
guess
was the.
my point and my solution would be we need to encourage those on the forefront, giving us our narratives, giving us news, giving us anything from a societal standpoint, you need to now be challenged. You don't just get to sit up and make 13, 14, 7. Some of these commentary pundits are broke off in a real way. And that's insane. There's all types of, I'm not we are the world guy, because I believe in capitalism. Let's everybody get their paper. But you can't rig the game and just say this off the wall shit, degrading and denouncing certain communities, and just count your check in your Beverly Hills mansion. Because if you continue to play this game, you are going to get some of this R word.
I like
and
that
on that note, this podcast is
all done.
All done. I'll at you next week, my brother.
All right, peace, love.
What it do, baby?
My brother. Yo. Welcome to the All Done Podcast.
Right.
Yeah, All Done Podcast live. My bad.
Come on now.
We definitely gotta get back to recording them though. But
yeah, we got something in the can for y'all that would probably be interesting. But go ahead.
I'm Shakes. Brother below me, that's my boy Tracy. Tracy, how you doing, my brother?
I'm chilling, man. New vibes, new situations,
Yeah, new life, man. I had an incredible